Seems like we're good to go once again. Where do I go? Picking up after where we left off? Maybe. I was reading something. That October note. Let's see where that went, because there's a few paragraphs I wanted to get to. Environment. Choosing people you spend time with. Where was that? At this point, it seems like under silence creates a surface area. Don't immediately get that luxury when I choose to speak to new people. There might not be a next time. So yeah, being okay with mistakes in conversations, because you know there's going to be a next time. But also you can flip that around. You can be okay with mistakes, since you won't have to face them if there isn't a next time. It's all perspective. Like strangers, you can be as weird as you want, because you're not going to see them again. Whereas people you already know, you'll have to face them again. And that can easily be uncomfortable. For when something hasn't gone ideally, I'd choose to avoid silence. It encumbers me with thoughts of talking too much or sharing, of crossing boundaries, opening me up to digging my hole deeper. No, I'm not feeling it now. We're good. Not going through that. I think we've gotten the good parts of it already. So actually, it was probably for the best when I stopped that on a Sunday. Well, today's Tuesday now. I think it might be on later. But for now, I will be here. Something happened on Twitter that was pretty fun. Got invited to spelling out my philosophy in a few words by Zeus Cap. There's too much. I don't even know how to go down that rabbit hole. But I thought I might share it anyway, even if I won't dive into it. Wish I had a text box in this thing. That's planned. But not yet. Listen, though you might lose this moment anyway. I don't even think it's practical to type this out. I'll try again. Listen, though you might lose this moment anyway. Carry with you what you will. The story either continues or a new one begins. Enjoy the ride. That was mine. Now those sort of things, I always try to overthink them, because I always try to come up with an answer that I know won't change. But that's kind of a stupid thing to pursue anyway. What are you feeling at that very moment? What is your philosophy? What is the you of now's philosophy? That is probably an easier way to frame it. I mean, you can zoom out, you can zoom in. Maybe there are specific things that you hold to you that are relevant to today only, or maybe this past year, or maybe longer. You can zoom out if you can. But that doesn't mean you can't center on yourself right now. What else can I do this? I feel like playing with this thing. The Axis engine. I showed Zeus this, and it's always fun to see very similar ideas come up with how we can use this. Such as mapping out a book. You have, this is something of a diagram that he wrote up. Text, video, prompt, day one. I love that. Yep, this is so on track. Just gonna map them out first. We have 3 on each side. Very symmetrical. Actually, just do it from this side. Then we have prompt 1, day 1, video writing prompt on this side. Then this was, what, 2? And then vid 2. So I suppose maybe the left side is writing, the right side is video, yes. That's what it seems like. Oh wait, no. What? I autopilot that. Vid 2. Very symmetrical. Bunch of ideas. Something else is network. Yep, love that. Network of people. That is something that immediately comes to mind when you think of something like this. I thought of it tons of times too, especially with social media. That's usually where this comes up in examples. Now, I don't have all the tools in this prototype to be able to display like fully what that would look like. And some of them are very frustrating, like being able to label these links. I can't do that. Did not add that by the time I stopped. But it's very still relevant. And this is the same idea as 6 degrees of separation. Or same model, you can think of it like you center on yourself, and you can find, okay, well, where do my relationships span out? What are the people that I'm acquainted with? The people I'm in contact with? And then you can continue from there. Who are they in contact with? And so on. And then there are, like, different links going across each other. It's a mess. Can be. Relationships. 6 degrees of separation is an idea that says, you know, I gotta stop using that filler word. That says you are connected to anyone in the entire world through at most 6 hops. Obviously, there can be shorter distances, especially people you already know. That's just a single hop. But to anyone in the world, by this alleged thing, and there may be outliers, it could be an average. I'm not sure how that works. Link Veritasium has a really good video on it. I haven't watched it in a few years, though. But that there are 6 hops to get in contact with anyone in the world. And maybe someone's gonna hide the relationships, though, so you won't be able to get contact. It, like, comes with a price. Comes with being the right person. But doesn't mean that relationship isn't there. That connection isn't there. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. Kind of going a spiral. Could make a spiral galaxy with this. That sounds fun. I don't know. Wonder what kind of curve that would be, though. Let me see. gonna save this. Even though it's just me, like, scribbling, basically. I'm gonna look through my old notes, see what I have lying around, especially with, like, future plans of this. I'm not sure if I should show that. I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. What is this? What are you waiting for? Oh. Oh my. What are you waiting for? To be taught something right? To be told the right thing in the right words? To be inspired? To be convinced that trying matters? You are worth it. The world is worth you? What is the context for this thing? To have that moment of realization, knowing what to say, what to do, what you want to do. I mean, there was no punchline to this. There was no response. It's all questions. Trying to map out every question that is possible. When did I make this? Just September, okay. Last year. Maybe it's to find common links. You could try that. Find common responses. Responses that overlap with the same questions. Try to categorize questions. That seems to be what I was doing. Lesson 0. Not sure about this. Oh, okay. What else? What else? I have things in the... Yes, I do. I want to. Notes. Cognito map? What's this one? Oh, okay, nothing. That's whatever. Yeah, probably a lot of things that are not so much the same. But I should probably just go for how I might see building a course. Bit of a bit since I did something like this. A course on the internet. You know, you have your regular courses, especially, you know, common medium being videos. You have your video 1, 2, 3, etc. linearly. And maybe they're broken up into chapters, like, let's say, chapter 1. Or unit 1, maybe. That sounds more fitting. Unit 1 to a course. Then we have unit 2, and I'm shortening this up so I don't have a giant graph of like 30 different videos. Just getting the idea going. 3, we have 4, we have 5, etc. Something like that. Very linear. What I want to do with this, though, build a course creator in Access Engine that kind of goes in a different dimension. You have your introduction. And maybe you have a default track. But maybe this is a quiz. Or some way to differentiate people. It can easily be based on a score, can be based on a questionnaire, a survey. Or maybe the odd person has an interesting question that you have like a list of questions that you would expect given a video, given a topic. Could be a video, could be an article, could be whatever you want. And that question that they asked is a particular question that sends them on a different direction, different branch. With different material. Especially in the sense of them discovering, even if they haven't realized it, that what they want is outside of the scope of this, at least branch, or maybe even the entire course. in which case you could see a reference to another course. Could be one you've made, could be one that you've just seen on the same platform you're on. Course. So external course, something like that. And with that quiz, I kind of jumped around there. With that quiz, you can either pass or fail, and that sends you on, maybe the fail path is like review. And then you just join back on the passing path once you get through that review, or maybe you're just sent backwards to like literally go back over the same topic and then retake the quiz until you pass, which that's probably not as effective, but it could be something you could do. Let's keep it like this. There's a bird now, actually. I see the bird. But I don't want to draw it. That's a lot of detail. This is like its leg, and this is the start of its body. What am I doing? What am I talking about? How's OBS doing? Everything looking good? Yep. Where's Egan? Talking for 15 minutes. That's fun. I do something like things like this, like live streaming, or I try out Instagram. Always feels like, you get that feeling of wanting to start anyway, despite not knowing what to say. And then something like happens there. You make something out of that. You go with the flow, you go with whatever comes up spontaneously, and then it kind of feels like it gets stuck. Like I'm doing this now, but it kind of feels like it's not what I want to do. And I don't know what I want to do then. What is it that I want? What do I see that I don't know how to put into words? What bridge am I not willing to cross? Does it look scary if I look down? Now it's like a spider or a crab. I stopped just letting my mind wander, seeing whatever shape I can make. But the power of this tool still stands for itself. It just makes me want to keep making it. There's so much that I want to be able to show with this that I can't. I think I looked through them and I didn't really find anything in particular. At some point. Maybe I'll just turn this into like programming stream. I might just do that actually. With the Python version of this, making Access Engine. Why not? see how I can do that. So, just keep that actually. But maybe I'll turn this into a display capture. Yeah, primary monitor. And now I'm able to say open up command prompt. Yep, I saw that working. We do. Oh, where my keyboard is not typing the right character set. There we go. We do cd chicken Python run axis. Is that it? Completely forgot what step I was at. I have this. Oh yeah, I have this. I have the single node. I can't make new ones. And, in a previous version I was able to drag links out from this little box that comes up. That looks pretty cool. Instead of right-clicking on it and opening a new menu, that's a pain. Something I want this to be very minimalistic, very quick to get off the ground. That is part of its principle. Right now it's in a dark mode. I can change that in the code itself. Maybe I'll show that too. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Python. Access. Init. We have in the main function there is not anything. Oh yeah, this is Qt. How did I do that in Qt? Oh, there it is. Background rule. Yep. Set palette. Yeah. Okay. If I now reload this. Oh, great. Now now this is difficult to see. It's like white on white. I'll keep it dark mode though. A lot of windows open, huh? Like, what's going on here? There's a lot going on here. Making sure we're good. Seems like it. What was I doing with this program? I kind of miss having the right-click menu. Feeling like I have that. I was working on menus, I think, last time, actually. Literally. Qt is difficult. I haven't used it before. Been using tkinter so much. But that is not powerful enough for Access. I just don't have the freedom. Being able to draw to a canvas is very important to me. Now, tkinter has a canvas, but it's kind of a different. It's not something you paint to. Something you just, I don't even know how to describe it. You just add elements to. Very high level. But high level means opinionated. And I need to assert my own opinions on how things should be. On click, make point. I was doing something like that, making points. A is not defined. Oh, right. There's a rectangle. And I don't see the rectangle. Where's the rectangle? Here, I'll show. Scene, none, 200, 100. Oh, I never added it to the scene. Duh. Is that it? Yeah, there it is. And you click on it, you make some dots. Some just points. And, I think... Does rotation work right now? Did I get that to work? No, it's still kind of broken. So right now, the dots are not lining up with where I'm clicking. I want to be able to know exactly where I'm clicking in screen space for it to translate well into the object space. What was I doing? Moving on from that, can I get the links to work again? Not that they have anything to do yet. But didn't I manage to do that? I mean, I did it at first. Where did that go? Well, first off, I can look at the button that I was dealing with. Open menu. That's mouse move. I won't click. Enter, move, click. New link, right? Print new link, making sure, is that even being called? It is not. Click, click. Okay, that is working. Can I fit everything on one monitor? I doubt. That's a bit cluttered. Click. That is working. Then only left, and not main body clicked and button clicked. So let's break those conditions apart, see where things are going wrong. So I want all these are linked together with and, so I want them all to be true for it to work. Which one isn't true? Last one, button clicked. Self button point intersects point. Okay. Is this to do with rotation again? Yeah. Oh no. Rotation sucks. Rotation's a pain to me. Good morning, Hambert. How do I do this? Point intersects, that's in the QT thing. This. I feel like this is way too deep for a live stream. I think it's late. Make me do things like this. The ellipse. Oops. Do they have different ones, right? Right. Hitbox. Rotate from. So that's what I was doing with the rectangle, is as a test to get things to work properly. Move the rectangle, we have it rotated. On click, I draw the points. Let's add it into the scene again. Yep. We have this, and it's still not lining up. So, question. What's it lining up to? It looks like... Well, I want to be able to... let me anchor this. I anchor it. Anchored equals true. Is that it? Wait, how do I do that again? Nope, not that. Maybe it's a property. Not that? What was it then? What did I name it? Renderable. What? Did I not? What did I name this thing as?
Yo, dude.
Oh, someone's joined.
Yeah, you didn't message me back. I didn't know if this thing was going on or not, dude.
Oh, I was in the chat, so you can always look in the chat and see if I'm there.
I know, I'm just shifting blame needlessly. It was all my fault, anyways.
There you go. Now you're getting it.
Now you get the leg go, bud. So
I
what's
was...
up? What are we talking about?
I kind of didn't have anything to talk about, so I just went into writing the code for the Python version of Access.
Are you still live streaming?
I am, yeah.
Yeah,
So
dude, I think
let's...
that's kind of cool. Like, instead of just having like, hey, this is the one specific thing that we do here and nothing else, and once that's done, fucking leave. Instead, dude, just have it like a chill stream. It's like, hey, this is what I do. I do these things, and I just live stream it. And if you want to come chill, come chill. It's just way easier format.
And, yeah, exactly. Personal brand stuff like that. This is my personal channel, so it works very well like that.
Yeah,
Especially
I had to do
everyone gets
something
to
like that.
everyone gets to hear my my mind wandering, like me talking out loud. I do that anyway, so it might as well be on live stream.
Exactly. Just turn it into entertainment for everyone's viewing pleasure.
Entertainment, says the person, oh me, who like goes 10 minutes without speaking. That's time.
Yeah. It's whatever though. It's just one of those things.
And it's
Yeah,
fun too.
I think I'm gonna experiment with live streaming some of my practicing and just see, if people get really bored, it's whatever.
Yeah, as long as you're making a
I
place
think
for
it's
yourself to be fun, to have fun.
yeah, I think it's funny because oftentimes when I'm working on music, I get really silly and like sometimes I'll fuck up and the reactions are honestly pretty funny because I'll listen back to some of the recordings, the rehearsal recordings, and just be like, dude, what a weirdo. That's awesome. I love it.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And then there's me like trying to figure stuff out and. So like the process is entertaining. And I was looking at this artist today and she like does sketches and stuff and she's been posting basically like her painting in progress, like she'll be like, "Oh, I did some of this and some of that." And like I like seeing the transformation. It's cool. Seeing stuff transforming into the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
You know what we could do? On the note of not having things to talk about, what I think we could do is just have a giant list of certain topics, like general topics, just to get something started. And
Yeah.
then you look at that chart. If you want to talk about something, you just look at the chart and you're like, well, that sounds kind of interesting, or that's relevant, or people might want to hear about that, and make a list of that. And boom, there you go. You're in business.
Close. Getting close. Maybe it's like pie. If it was like that.
So yeah, after I hang out on here with you for a little while and entertain a bit, if you want to call it that, I gotta get some painting done. Getting back on that wagon. I got to. I'm falling behind on bills. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I know. Well, I've been so like feverishly working on this song, these songs, just like
Right.
songs in general.
Yeah.
I just want them to be done. Like they're so fucking close and they sound so good, and I'm just like, it's right there. It's right there. You know, when when I release these demos, then I'll take a break. But I didn't think it would take me this long. Because you
Yeah.
know me, I'm ambitious, but I'm also a perfectionist. So those two things together means I
You're reaching for
tend
the
to
stars.
overdo it. I reach for the stars. But the thing is, I'm starting to reach them. My fingertips are warm. You know what I'm saying?
A little warm, maybe a little bit on fire too. Stars are pretty hot.
Right. Well, whether or not it's close enough to be on fire is up for the audience to decide. But I think it's coming out pretty good.
I think you're getting
You
there.
know,
You're getting there.
I think so. If I think it's okay, then other people are probably gonna really dig it. You know,
So
because
for
usually I
them
think
to
it all
decide,
sucks.
right?
Like, I go through these weird periods too with it, where like last night I was feeling really down on it, and I was like thinking back in my head, and I like replay the song in my head and stuff, and I'm like, oh, the song sucks. I don't like it. And so I'm like, all right, well, let me listen back to one of the rehearsals that I was doing for this song, one of the more recent ones where I was starting to really come into it. And I listened to it and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, what was I so upset about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, welcome to being bipolar. So, that's the whole process. And I was thinking about that too, is how, like being self-critical and stuff. A lot of artists have that, and not just artists, but like entrepreneurs and stuff too, developers, I'm sure. Anybody that's really creating something, any creative, is gonna it is seems to be prone to that. Like, could you really think of too many creative geniuses that weren't either perfectionists or really hard on themselves? Because I can't.
No, I can't either. Not that I know too many personally to get that level of detail.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
none come to mind.
So, what I'm starting to believe is you need an element of that to keep pushing you forward. Because I remember thinking yesterday too. I'm like, well, if what if I wasn't so like hypercritical and perfectionistic, and I wasn't like an emotional basket case? Would the music be as good? Would I push myself this hard to get it right? Would I care enough to do it?
Hmm.
And I don't think I wouldn't be as good. Like it's
Hmm.
an edge, you know? I was also I started reading this book. I can't remember what it was called. It's Lessons from a Psychopath or something. And they were talking about how mental conditions actually there's certain benefits to mental conditions, right? There's always a silver lining. Like with depression, for example, a lot of studies show that depression increases memory. They were doing this experiment where there was like people entered the store and there was this little display and it had some toys on it and stuff, and they were playing some like happy music and it was on a sunny day and stuff, and when people were leaving the store, they asked them like, hey, do you remember how many toys were on this table? And then they tested that same setup on a rainy day, like bad weather, and then they played some sad music and stuff, and so there's a higher likelihood of like bad vibes during that time. And they did the same test, and it showed that when the sad music and the sad weather was about, they were 4 times more effective on average to remember the configuration of the toys. So the
Huh.
memory was increased. Yeah. And then they were talking about anxiety and how, like, as we evolved, it was the people with anxiety that would keep the tribe alive because they were hyper vigilant. You know what I mean? They kept everyone safe because of their anxiety, their paranoia. There's a silver lining with every condition, but but you know, it's hard to deal with. It's not a pleasant thing to experience, but the results can be quite positive.
It kind of brings up that thought of, individual versus group, and how, to be beneficial to the group, that might come with a sacrifice to the individual.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of evolutionary traits out there like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're totally set up to be part of a group. What ends up happening as if we purely operate as individuals, then essentially we have to get rid of a lot of those things, but a lot of those things are what makes us us, right? And then, later in life, a lot of people just feel very empty and very lonely, and they don't know why. And I think a big part of that is that we override or shut down certain natural mechanisms that we have, and then we disconnect ourselves from our own evolution, and that is a really bad thing. It's just the way that things are set up right now is not congruent with our natural states.
Mm.
You know, the whole like every man for himself kind of dig is just total bullshit. It's not how
Well,
it works.
we're also struggling with going too far in the extreme too quickly, not finding the right path, like sacrificing the individual to the group. We have a lot of societies having those issues as well.
Right. Well, it's because the contributions are not set up in the right way.
Mm.
And I think the most clear way to demonstrate that we're not doing that right is because it's involuntary. That's the problem. You know, if there were more mechanisms and methods for, working together and cohabiting together that were voluntary, well, that would be great. But the problem is they try to force certain elements, but they don't cater to other elements. Um, it's like the capitalism memes, where it's like, yeah, well, when we're in an economic boom, it's total capitalism, but when we're in a depression, it's total communism. You know what I'm saying? Because the businesses want to keep all their money when things are good, but then they want to like share the losses with the rest of society when things are bad. It's a double standard. It's flipped on its head, and it's not done the right way.
Mm.
And I'd say that as far like the individual versus collective um, thing altogether, neither one is being done properly. We're not collectivizing right, and we're not individualizing right. The man who wants to go live up on the hill alone and just to have some crops and shit, he can't really do his thing. He doesn't have the liberty to do that. When people want to congregate together and live as a tribe, well, they can't really do that either. It's just all fucked. I'm just not doing any of it right, you know. And the first part about that is we introduce things that are involuntary, and that's the biggest problem, is because we're not allowing people to choose their own thing. We're just trying to create a template and forcing them into it, and that's the wrong fucking way to go about it. That's the issue right there. See, you got me ranting now. Shut up.
It's that one. This is a big idea. This is like a root idea.
Mhm.
You go general like that, you get some things like that. You notice how I started with the general, like, oh yeah, it's like it fits in that whole topic of individual versus the group or collective, and then we just go from there, and it's easy. Now with like forcing people into roles versus letting them do what they want to do, there's a lot of mindset that comes with that over whether you believe the individual will choose a role. Or actually, not so much the individual, but like the collection of individuals. Will they choose roles collectively that are harmful to the whole organism?
Well, I think it all depends on the psyche of the person. From what I can gather and from personal experience, I think most people, especially men, have a proclivity to want to continue their father's legacy. You know, even if their father was like it was like not a good dad or whatever, that
Okay.
still holds true. And I think if they are a good father, that's even more true, as you want to continue that legacy. So and that's just part of a survival instinct. We grow up and we see what our fathers do and what makes them successful, right? And what helps them create you, right? Reproduction and survival. And then you associate whatever they're doing with reproduction and survival. And therefore, that is the thing that you want to do. Like, my father was a musician, he was also a carpenter and a painter. Sound familiar? Those are two things that I'm really into, you know? And I know that as a kid, a lot of that came from just seeing him do that successfully, right? I think that the roles are not necessarily a bad thing as long as you're not forcing it on people. I think that's a natural instinct to want to carry that on. The problem is we're not even doing it's the same thing as before. We're not doing that right either, right? We're not setting it up in such a way where the son inherits the father's whole ordeal. We shouldn't force them to, of course, but we're not facilitating that process either. It's kind of like this weird gray area where it's like, yeah, go be yourself, but no, not like that. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of it's nonsense. I think that the hereditary roles, in my opinion, should be encouraged and cultivated. You know, and
Okay.
you raise a child, and it's not like you have to do this, but it's like, hey, this path is available to you if you should want to do so. And most likely they will. Young kids want to emulate their parents,
I
but
can't.
there will be,
I can't relate.
well,
Not
and
the
and
slightest.
here's the other side of that coin. If the parent is a shitty parent, they're really bad, you'll actually oftentimes see a reversal. You'll see them want to do something completely opposite or different, or they'll just become super rebellious, um, because that whole thing has been fucked up for them and they feel betrayed.
I was never rebellious, which is very interesting.
Well, you're chill.
Maybe.
I,
Gotta look at the whole
or
story.
maybe you're just not like rebelling in the way that people would label as rebellion.
Ooh,
You
there
maybe
you go.
have your
That's a
own.
good point.
Rebellion doesn't look like just chaos and anarchy. Rebellion can be any number
Very,
of things.
very slow burn.
Hmm.
Something maybe even manipulative.
Maybe,
I don't know.
maybe.
Throwing
You
out
never know.
ideas.
Trauma changes people.
Mm.
It's kind of a way to reconfigure things. When we enter a state of trauma and we become dopamine deprived and serotonin deprived, what ends up happening is I can't remember what the exact rate is, but we significantly increase our neuroplasticity and the way that we
Ooh.
create new neural pathways. You'll see this in depression. When people get depressed, they're reconfiguring their whole thing in order to better survive within their environment. Because if they're
Yeah.
depressed, that implies they're not surviving in their environment. Therefore, they need to transform to do that. They need to
So
adapt.
that's. I mean, if that's true, that's a fascinating way on the individual scale to just, you know, that's a survival mechanism that I haven't been aware of.
Hmm.
That's fascinating.
I use it a lot. Well, I've had to.
Probably
Like,
me too.
you'll notice, like, I used to go through, and I still do, go through these weird phases where I'll get really depressed and then I'll kind of like change my direction for a while. And that's a big part of that. Is what ends up happening is I need to get into something new that I feel like is going to help my life out, so I don't feel that pain again,
Oh yeah,
right?
and I have very similar things of feeling like I need. I mean, maybe my feelings are more direct, like I need to do something different, and then I do something different. You have that feeling that you're stuck in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to break free.
Yep.
And sometimes that can be something as simple as just expressing yourself.
Mm-mm-mm.
You need to have some sort of outlet or a way to express yourself and to get that out into the world, and to be heard. Otherwise, you're just gonna hold it in and it's gonna get pent up. You know. So that's another way. It's a lot of pressure that gets built up, and what ends up happening if you let that pressure build up and you don't express it, you have a breakdown, and you totally have ego death. You have a total ego death, and then you start over again. It's just like you enter like this weird
A rebirth.
psychedelia, trippy state, a rebirth. Yeah, because you can get so depressed and so miserable that you start tripping. It's a thing. It is
I
a thing.
would not put it past humans.
I've experienced it all too well.
Now, you talk about that building up, or that repression, or whatever you want to call it. Now tack on dissociation, personalization, especially.
Like people with chronic depression and stuff, they'll often tell
Or I
you,
guess not. Okay.
it's you enter this weird hazy kind of place where time doesn't exist, and it's just very trippy. Everything gets very trippy and weird because
Hmm.
you totally fracture like mentally, and you enter that trip. It's just like being on LSD. And sometimes what'll happen too, if you have chemical imbalances or you're say like bipolar or something, you can that can be paired up with some sort of manic episode, and then almost exactly like a trip. It's almost like the same experience in a way, right? And we know that tripping does what? It's a transformative tool. It's a way to gain wisdom and insight on ourselves. And I think what ends up happening with these mental states is it brings you to that exact same place, right? And tripping is a way to get to that place without being super miserable so that we can hack our brains and reconfigure ourselves to start over or gain some sort of closure on something or whatever it might be.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's guess it's a good morning for a rant, ain't it?
I'm here for it. That's a good place. The stream is a good place for that.
Yeah. Well, I hope the all two viewers enjoy it and gain some insight.
Me too. Amber, are you enjoying this?
Oh, is she here?
Yeah, she's here again.
I love Amber. I love you, Amber. You're awesome. Thanks for being with us.
Me, she's saying Rand.
Yes.
Now
Rand
you
alone.
you don't know what I'm drawing on the screen. You're not watching the my screen, so you don't know like what dots I'm putting down.
No, I do not. I do not.
I'm mostly following the conversation, also putting down thoughts of my own.
I kind of figured I heard the typing and stuff. I'm like, oh, he's making notes.
Well, yeah, that's the visual of the stream, at least for the time being, is having nice to talk, putting down what the conversation leads into.
It's awesome. That's a good little feature right there. Because you can see the conversation build up and the connections get made. Seeing the thing grow. Yeah. Oh, sorry. They're doing some work over here. Sorry for the
Mm,
background noise.
it's actually pretty quiet.
Okay. What's quiet? What is that? We don't do quiet around here.
bet.
So yeah, one thing that's kind of bugged me a little bit. So I'll have a song and it's like in the early stages it's just really simple. It's stripped down. There's not a whole lot added to it. And it can still sound pretty good, like if it's a strong song that rhymes, you have some good melodies to it and stuff. It'll hold up just like that and sound great. Like for example, there's a lot of like I'm obsessed with Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, big deal to me, and a lot of his acoustic demos of what would later become like some of their biggest songs. I prefer those simple little acoustic demos where it's just probably him in his bedroom with a 4 track, just hitting record and jamming something out, and probably coming up with half of it on the spot. Oftentimes, I prefer that to the well produced and well polished finished product, and that is a mind fuck, and I'll tell you why. Because putting all this work and energy into a song. 1 second. Hey, how's it going? Oh, not too shabby. This should be. Did you check the third floor? Okay. All right, I'll be right back. No, don't worry about it. Uh,
Where are we? I drew this up just as. Here, maybe I can do this. What is Discord doing? Oh, I'm just not hearing noises. Oh, yeah, stream remote. Got it. Just drew this up as my own notes. Something I actually wanted to do for a bit. And he hit on a spot I haven't thought of before. Actually, let's make it this. Like shoelaces.
all right. Someone needed my help. Sorry about that. Very unprofessional of me.
No, welcome back.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, right. So here's the fucked up thing. I'm working on this song feverishly. I've probably put 40 hours into this song. Don't tell anyone though, it's a secret. Never let them know how hard you work. But
You are being recorded, and this will be on the internet for all of time.
well, that's the joke. Of course, everyone's gonna know. I don't care.
Hey,
It's just funny
that
to
was the
say.
joke too.
Oh no, double layered joke. Caramel apple of jokiness. But
Continue.
so I'm working on this song, and I'm like many hours in. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, what if, what if people hear this and they hear like the earlier demo version and they're like, oh, I like that one better. Like, that would fucking suck. That would suck. Where's that right balance? That's the thing. Or what if you're not bringing the song to its true potential and you release it and people are like, meh, not that great. Like, it's one of those things. It's one of those things. And as an artist, like you producing your own thing, you're gonna see it differently than everyone else sees it. No one's gonna see it like you. Your perception will never be the same perception as everyone else's.
Nope.
This is the issue.
We are closed boxes until like a brain interface comes out, which who knows how long that'll be. Elon Musk, please. Um, until that
Over
comes
20
out,
years, we'll get there.
maybe. Actually, that's pretty optimistic. I love that. I'll, I'll sign up to that. But
No, I think with AI, we'll get there.
mm-mm-mm. Communicating all the different activity in our heads. Just,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, language. We already see that failing time and time again.
Right.
I mean, actually, most people don't even see it. But that's fine. That's part of it too.
I just can't wait till we have the brain interfaces where I can think of a song, I can come up with a song in my head, and then that gets recorded on like some MIDI or something, and you can actually hear the song that I'm like coming up with in my head.
Not like
Dude,
that. I mean,
oh,
simultaneously, how many
oh,
times have I thought about like making animations in my head and
mm,
being able to flesh
me
those
too.
out? Like, imagine being able to see like a rough draft and progressively editing it inside your head as because you can't see it in full detail right away, but you can then
Hmm.
get a draft and then start like fleshing things out in your head, put the detail on because it's far easier to imagine things piece by
Right.
piece and have that just
Imagine
show up in reality.
like creating your own like VR, right? So you like picture a scene in your mind and an experience
Yeah.
in VR, and then you can insert yourself into that world that you created in your head. Yeah, be badass. I think it would be like pretty detrimental to the mental state of most people, but it'd be cool.
I mean, hey,
You should.
the story has to change at some point. What is detrimental in one perspective is simply a different type of being in another.
Mm.
You didn't get sound convinced.
No, I was just looking at something.
Sure.
Yeah, ADHD kicking in hard. Chillin'. Yeah, friends walking up. Yeah, dude. I don't know. I think mental health is gonna continue to be a really big concern.
Yep.
I think it's just gonna
100%.
be more and more so. I think technology and ever increasing complexity and isolation is just a big powder keg for mental illness. That needs to be counteracted by tribes, basically.
Mm.
Need to tribe up. It's the only way, man. It's the only way. Oh, yeah. At least it's not super hot out today, so I'm not gonna swelter too much while I'm painting. It's gonna be good. There's my ADHD again. I'm gonna be like the sensei of mental illness here pretty soon. You wait.
Looking forward to
It's like you got a problem. I know about that.
it. Nice.
I figured out a trick. There's one simple trick. The banks will hate you. Look how this man did such and such.
Right.
Right. One of those. Oh yeah, did you hear about all the housing foreclosures and stuff and all the evictions and whatnot popping up?
I'm hearing about it. Yeah.
I
Well,
can't
little
remember how much it.
foreclosure crisis going on.
I think it was something
Although,
like 6 or 7 times above the average rate.
ouch.
Yeah, and that's all coming up, and though that is gonna be in the paperwork here pretty soon,
Yep.
and it's just that thing. Like Alex Sharfin actually made a post about that.
Huh.
and he was saying that this whole thing is much worse than people are talking about, and there's just, the basically what the markets are doing right now, and not just the stock market, is they have this false optimism. There's a little bit of stimulus money in and stuff like that. Yeah, kept stuff propped up.
Yeah.
However, the rubber will meet the road. It's gonna
Mm.
happen. It's just gonna be a flash crash. I can almost guarantee it. There will be at least a flash crash. Like when is anyone's best guess, but it'll happen.
Flash crash
And
in what sector, or all of them, or what?
all of it, total market,
Oh, okay.
you know, especially with real estate. There's a lot of big clothing brands going down. Boutiques are obviously getting hit really hard.
Right.
And all this stuff is just kind of brewing under the surface and has been for such a long time. It's um it's kind of some scary stuff going on right now.
Mm.
Mhm. So get yourself some gold and silver,
Right.
wait this crazy shit out. That's kind of been my philosophy, is to just kind of wait it out and maybe day trade, maybe,
Maybe.
but
But you shouldn't be in a
that's
market you don't understand.
yeah, you really shouldn't. Like, you can understand some technical analysis and have some good setups or whatever, but with the fundamentals as fucked up as they are right now, you know what I mean? Anything could happen. Anything could happen. You could enter a trade and then overnight, have some crazy shit go down, which has happened. And then you open up on a super low gap and you could be fucked. If you put a lot of your capital into a trade and then you have a flash crash situation, stop loss is not always going to help you. If you even use a stop loss.
Especially if you can't stop loss after hours.
Yeah. Yeah, stop losses can only do so much. I very seldom will actually use a stop loss. Just because of how I trade, though. I trade such long term that it doesn't really. I always see things coming from like a mile away, so it doesn't. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any difference. I always close my trades out before a stop loss would even be hit. So, unless there was like a flash crash situation, I could see that. But
I'm up. I'm up, actually.
hmm,
I'm up, actually, on my account.
nice,
Nice.
dude.
My little grocery store, Sprouts, is doing good.
There you go, buddy. Yep. Oh fuck, I still gotta get my information together and open up that new account.
Actually,
Got a lot of shit to do.
I told you, Square offers direct deposit accounts.
Really?
Yeah, so you can open up an account with that and be, open to stimulus that way.
What? No way. You gotta like help me set that up like later.
I haven't done it before. I just saw that someone directly connected the two, like like Square direct deposit accounts went up 11 million because of stimulus checks.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna have to check into that because if I could, dude, if I could have that rather than going with one of these banks, I'd be really happy
Right.
because it's somewhere in between just a bank and PayPal, and I need both. I need something like PayPal to make online transactions, but I need a bank obviously to do my bank stuff.
And
So
I
you have
forget.
to
Did
get
Square need a bank?
stimulus and
I'm not
for
sure.
what?
Did Square need a bank connected? I forget.
I
I
don't
forget
know.
if it needed one.
Look
Yeah,
it up.
well, yeah, just go through that process. I'll help you out with that.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, because you know how much I love doing all that kind of stuff.
Yep, I'm here. I'm here for that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that pissed me off so much not getting that money. Like, you got no idea.
Right.
It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It's like, what the fuck, guys? Are you
I
kidding?
mean,
Like,
they sent you a message saying like that was you didn't get the money because of the account issues. So you can probably fix the account issues and call them up saying, "Hey, like I applied. I You would have accepted me if I didn't have the issues with the bank stuff. So I fixed that now. So send me money."
that's not a bad idea how to do that. So yeah, I'll look into the Square thing. If I can't get that situated, I'll just go to the bank
Okay.
do with that.
Right.
Not excited, but the
You
money's
drag your
good.
feet.
I like
You might
smoking.
you drag your feet too much sometimes.
I know. Well, see, here's the thing. I dread going through that kind of shit so much. Like,
Yeah.
I know, I understand. Like, very petty. I know how that seems, but the amount of like frustration and
Yeah.
nonsensical BS like drives me crazy. It gives me a fucking panic attack, I swear.
Mm.
I don't know if I should like punch something or run away or punch something then run away. Like that's the feeling, total fight or flight.
Right.
I gotta come to terms with my limitations here. There's certain situations that don't handle very well.
Right.
I need help.
Mm.
He needs medication.
I mean, hey, it helps some people. Some people it helps,
Right.
and some people doesn't.
Yeah, no. I, I I'll never take medication again though. That shit's toxic.
Never know.
Because like the thing about
Well, you tell me
medication,
later.
oftentimes it just poorly masks over a problem. So you never actually learn how to like develop your own coping mechanisms and stuff. You're just always stuck on that.
Well, some people would rather be stuck on that than have to deal with maintaining coping mechanisms.
This is true. But
Because
at the
coping
same
mechanisms
time,
can be heavy too.
well, you're absolutely right. It all depends on the kind of coping mechanisms you're using too.
Mm.
But oftentimes the health effects really get to me. You're like some of them will make you gain weight, and others like you can't get it up, or others you just feel so numb that you don't care about anything. You're not happy. You're not sad. You're just kind of like, oh,
Associated constantly.
yeah. And you know, as like a bipolar person, I really wonder like, would a normal kind of like steady balance just feel like numbness? You know what I mean? After so many like crazy swings. You know what I'm saying? Like
No.
I kind of reached that point as a teenager where I was like, I didn't know, I couldn't tell if I was balanced or if I was just totally numb because that perspective, you know.
Yeah, balance has depth to it in my experience.
But also the crazy strong emotions and stuff like that can be really good for art. That's an edge, you know.
Yeah,
If
we have proven that through history. A lot of characters go into music utilizing that.
mhm. Well, that's the thing is you can channel that crazy energy into the music as a form of therapy, and it's just so powerful. When people hear it, they're like, "Holy shit, this is like
And then
something
for the
I've been through."
musicians, just like this is my normal.
Right. So like this is just like you peering into my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and that's another thing that's so weird about making music is like if you're writing a song and it's legit song, like you really mean it, it's such a personal thing. It's so personal. It's like you sharing your deepest, darkest secret to the world, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's part of why it's so hard to take criticism and art. Like it's a painful experience because it's like that's like your deepest, darkest truth right there, laid out bare for the whole world to see. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, and the work that goes into it. Like
Right.
every time you work on a song, if that song really means something to you, especially if it's not a happy song anyways, you're just ripping open your wounds over and over again.
That
You know.
was that's why I kind of say like I normalize my own identity crises, separate you from your ego.
Hmm.
Normalizing that is something of a desirable trait, and as far as I consider. right now, at least.
Right. Right. One of the fucked up things I found myself doing though, when I was working on this song yesterday, like I've been using like mementos and stuff,
Hmm.
little mementos to keep me motivated. I'll look over and I'll see that, and then I'll be like, ah, fuck, you know, very painful. I need to play this out, and you're just milking that. You're milking the energy from that event, and then sometimes you'll find yourself chasing after that inspiration, and causing yourself a little bit of grief to stay at that point to where you really mean it when you're playing
Hmm.
it, at least until the song is done. And then, you know what I'm saying? Then it doesn't have to be as powerful. You don't have to channel it as much. But while you're writing that song and you're recording it and stuff, like, you kind of need that motivation to keep playing it, and to stay interested in it long enough to get that out, to get that on recording. And so I've been working at that, and figuring out how to channel these emotions and these traumatic events to turn it into art, and finding it peculiar how I would find myself chasing that, chasing a very negative thing to stay inspired. It's very weird, you know. And I know it's not necessarily healthy behavior, but at least in my mind, like when you're like if you're a legit artist, the art comes first. Like the suffering is part and parcel of doing the process. It's kind of like a sacrifice in a way.
Hmm. Maybe that's why I never identified as an artist.
Yeah, you don't want to. It's not pleasant.
Well, if you say it like that, then I wonder what you want.
I don't know what I want.
And that's okay too.
That's the thing. I don't give a fuck about a whole lot.
Like,
If you really get down to it,
hmm.
like the things I really care about are like the people in my life, like you. Um, Not to get all sentimental on you and stuff, but like the people in my life, and creating a good impact on the world, and um, just doing really cool shit. What's good? You just waking up? How late did you stay up last night? That's it? You're just now waking up? Yeah, I'm sleepyhead. Yeah, buddy's kid just walked in. But yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But where was I getting at here? I know I'm all over the place. But yeah, I don't know, like the people I care about and doing good stuff for the world, and all that. I think when it comes to the music, like the big inspiration for me, it's different now than it was before. Like before, I was trying to gain something by it. Like honestly, I think I was trying to create the music and make it good because I wanted to feel appreciated, like I wanted to be heard and appreciated, and, be accepted because I was a wicked loner and stuff.
Hmm.
And now I care a lot less about that validation and being cared about because I have good people in my life. Now I have that, but what is left is not necessarily wanting to gain something, but is wanting to get rid of something, and to use that as an outlet to get those emotions out, to say the things that I want to say, and
Hmm.
to not just speak them to somebody in some sort of rant or a ramble, which was my outlet for a while. But when you play it in music form, it's so much more deep and
You
powerful.
want
And
communication.
I think that's what it is. I think that's what art really is it's a form of communication.
It totally
It's
is.
just a way. I think that's at the heart of the whole thing, is you want to communicate something, and have it really hold some weight, and have you be heard,
Of
to have
course.
your opinion be validated in a sense.
And related
That's
is that, words themselves, especially with writing, or poetry or however you want to do it, you need a lot of the same rules apply. Communicating in a way that you know has the right impact that you're looking for. And back in Identity, I write. I've written a lot over the years. Just kept track of
Oh, I know.
that's how the stream is kind of based on that. going
Yeah, you
through
write
old
some bangers.
going through old notes. Yeah, I definitely do that. I talk dramatic like, all full of myself, right?
Hmm.
And that's you utilize the emotions you're feeling at the time to get down what you need and the way you need to. You think will actually be the way to get through to someone. I don't know. And it's interesting you mentioned
I'm on the phone.
identity identifying as an artist or a writer or whatever, and how that'll keep you
Yeah.
going, how you suffer for it. I actually had something written that I stumbled upon yesterday looking through notes. Something I wrote back in 2017 about how like I write a lot, but I don't identify as a writer because I don't desire. What did I say? I don't desire to be better at it. Like I'm not doing it to work on the craft for the craft's sake. I'm doing it for my sake, and the craft is there as a vehicle. And that once I'm done, it's done, and I can move on. So that's where identity plays a role.
Yeah, I think for me it's a bit of both, and I don't like labels and stuff
Of
because I have a
course.
diverse range of interests. But I think that for me it's one thing among many things. It's like, yes, I'm an artist, but I'm also this and that, and they're not mutually exclusive. I think that all that being an artist or whatever really implies is this is my method of communicating with the world. This is a method that I use to get across how I feel and what I'm thinking. And it goes right back to that communication thing we were just talking about.
Big complicated
There's
web.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you think about it, what's the difference between art and philosophy? It's just a different form. It's just a
Yep.
different way of getting it across. It's the same thing,
Yep.
you know? You can use a song to get across a philosophy, you know, and you can use philosophy to get across a song. It's interchangeable, the whole thing. All of it is. It's all interchangeable to a certain extent. When you really think about it as just a true human expression, that's really all it is. It's just a true human expression and emotion. You
Mm.
know, what you would consider real music or real art, it's basically what it is.
And we're so
It's
used to the
way.
feeling that, that idea of true expression, or maybe it's just me, but you feel like it's gonna be immediately lashed out at in this climate.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's partially why art is so useful, is because you can get across those ideas and there's more acceptance to it.
There's more.
You can
It's
be,
yeah.
if you look at how controversial a lot of art is, especially like if we're talking about like music, say punk rock, for example. That's some controversial heavy shit that they're doing. You know what I mean? But it's more accepted because artists always have gotten more of a pass when it comes to the freedom of expression. Because art is kind of a sacred thing to us. But, there's a difference between somebody just babbling on about their opinion and trying to tell somebody else how to think, or somebody just thinking their own thing with music. There's a difference there. I think a lot of the problem comes when there's an implication of you need to think this way or else. Like if you don't think this way, then you're X or something like that. But it's just because it's a different medium of communication.
Or how about something that tries to communicate something at someone else's expense?
Mm, right.
So like maybe it's not trying to convince anyone to think of a particular way, but it's a point of view that is said at someone else's expense, some individual or some group.
Mm.
What do you think about that?
Well, that's not always a bad thing. I mean, if
It's
you want to look at
I
that,
agree.
if you want to look at that in a positive way, look at comedy. Comedy, you
So
know,
I had the comedy bubble written already before I even said anything.
oh, there you go. Well, see, that's it right there. Is
Because
you look
I
at
was leading you there.
the only person in the kingdom that can pick on the king is the Joker, Jester. You
It's
know,
such
because
such a difficult line. I've kind of come to the conclusion over the past few months. I don't understand comedy, so I'm just gonna wash my hands of it. I don't understand it.
all that comedy is, I think, is speaking the truth. And the truth is oftentimes like saying something that everyone else is thinking unabashedly and with good humor.
I can
Like
see your perspective, but
that's all it
that's
is.
a vulnerability you're writing right there, saying that comedy is inherently true. That is your words. I don't think that's your meaning.
No, I think that I don't think that comedy is inherently true, but I think that good comedy, or what I would consider true comedy, is just a true statement. That's all. It's just a true statement delivered in a really satirical fashion.
Then how do you differentiate something that's true and something that's not? I suppose you have to have external knowledge or something like that.
Well, it's like I
Hmm.
said, it's what everyone is already thinking, but is too afraid to say.
Are you the one to decide that?
The audiences,
Hmm.
at least for me, the jokes that I find the most funny are when somebody says something that's so outrageous. You're like, did he really just fucking say that? Oh my god. Like, you know what I mean? Like that is fucking edgy. Like that's kind
Hmm.
of sort of I know there's different kinds of comedy. There's like some of the dry crass humor. You'll see a lot of that in the UK, and really the dry kind of sarcastic humor, you
Hmm.
know. There's stuff like that. um, there's many different forms of it, but I think at its heart, it's it's the saying the thing that everyone else is afraid to, but they're thinking anyways, or to put yourself in such a vulnerable position that people are embarrassed for you. You know what I mean? But you're going with it. They're like, oh, that's so cringy, but he's just like totally going with it.
Oh, I can
So
totally
it's
do that. Yeah, I do that.
it's that's cringe humor for you.
When people are embarrassed
But
for me, but I roll with it. That's kind of what I built up.
yeah, dude, I live that life. I embrace it.
Hmm.
So But if you think about those two elements, speaking that truth that everyone else is feeling but they're not saying, and putting yourself in a vulnerable position where people are like, "Whoa," you know what I mean? That's like some real shit right there. It makes you realize the truth about humans. You know what I mean? Underneath all these veneers that we put over ourselves and society and our egos and stuff, what art and comedy does is it exposes the deeper element there. It shows
Better or
the piece
worse.
of the soul. It's the true human expression, and that's
Right.
why comedy is also art, because music has those same sort of criteria. It's the
I agree.
same thing delivered differently.
I agree. Comedy is art, but I don't know. Seems like it has more vulnerability with abuse. I'm not sure if I want to use that word. I'm looking for the words
What do
though.
you mean? Vulnerability, like to be used maliciously?
Yes.
Well,
And then
there's nothing,
it seems like
nothing
it
you can do.
the the thing about like art is sacred. I do appreciate that idea. I don't know. It feels like words reach out farther. Maybe that's just an
Words
individual perspective.
words reach out farther, you think?
They have more influence on an individual. No, that's
I don't think
not what
so.
I'm going for. No, that's not what I'm going for. Don't know.
It's I see what you're saying though. Part of the reason that I had switched over to philosophy from music for a while, and maybe you're thinking of what I was thinking about, is my thought was like I just want to be direct about these thoughts and these speculations. I don't want to beat around the bush here and try to make a song out of it. I just want to fucking speak it in a way that's easy to understand.
It's
And
not. Not what I was
changes the
going for,
mindset.
but okay.
Okay, well, yeah, monkey wrench. So what were you going for then? I guess let's cover that one.
If I knew how to say it, I would have already said it.
Mm. Don't
But
wanna
that's
be
kind of
your
that's
monkey
kind of
wrench.
why I just like walk away from. I say I don't understand comedy. What is the deal with it? So yeah, disconnect if something is not my
I
area.
Yeah, I just think it's like any art, you know.
Hmm. And I seem to be saying it's something different. It has a different quality to it.
I don't think so. I think the only difference is the medium.
And the media might be giving it that difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, it all comes from the same source. It works on the same criteria, but the delivery method is ultimately what differs, you know. And what what I think a lot of it does is it tries to evoke something in people. It's an
Hmm.
influential force. So if you want to talk about like some hardline philosophy, like some Aristotle or something, um, there's still a great degree of art to it, you know. Because what and actually Plato did this really well is he would create analogies and stories to explain the ideas, and it was really entertaining. You know, it would bring people to a surreal kind of world, and like idealism is one way of doing that, where you're kind of telling a story, like a hypothetical story of, you know, what would this be like, or how much better would things be if it was like this, and then you can wrap your mind around that mental vision, and it invokes a sort of spirit within us. It invokes emotion, you know, and
Agreed.
that's like the quintessential thing is you're invoking something in somebody. You're bringing about some sort of feeling, and that is what initiates the change in people. That's how
Agreed.
you get the intent effect.
That's not how I use
Whether
words.
you want to make someone laugh or cry or change their mindset,
Stories are powerful.
you know, and rage, rage too is another way of doing that. Look at politics; they got really good at using it.
Uh,
Can of worms.
Rage, huh?
Rage, simmer and rage. Yeah, I mean, and rage can be useful too, but in very small doses.
Powerful. Fire. Fire burns, and it can burn down some damaging things, but it isn't that very discriminatory.
Yeah, no, fire or Mars energy, you know, it is the one that is in most need of direction. Otherwise, it becomes destructive. You know, you gotta give it a. I ain't your chef. Cook your own stuff, kiddo. Oh, you want bacon? You just want me to cook you some badass eggs, is what it is. Well, I'm gonna be Gordon Ramsay today, I guess. Do we even
That's
have
fun.
bacon?
Are you leaving now?
No, I'm probably just gonna cook this kid up some.
Never seen again.
I don't kimchi. I think it's low mate. We don't have enough eggs, bud. That's why I asked you. It's gotta be thawed then. Oh yeah, Gordon Ramsay ended up here today. Jeez, holy smokes! Uh, this huge friggin' thing of bacon. Cause it's frozen, obviously. Yeah, we're gonna have to thaw that out. I have to thaw it first. You do realize
Oops.
we were not prepared for this. We should have put it in the fridge so it would thaw. Last.
Well, you were the one that was good.
Oh, it's all my responsibility, is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you little dirt. Just put it all on me. No.
Gordon Ramsay, you should have done it.
It's raw. It's freaking raw. This chicken is still frozen. Yeah. So, I wonder if we should have a, dude, we should have a counter on here for how many times I get distracted from the call.
Sounds like a good idea.
That would be freaking awesome. It's like, how many times are you at now? Oh, 7? Okay. Nice. And 1 hour? Good going. Congratulations.
I think we can wrap it up pretty soon, though.
I was just looking at the clock. It's almost noon.
You,
Yeah. No need to thank me for ruining your stream, by the way.
you're here for, isn't it?
Yeah, to come here and ruin the party. Be like, what's up, dudes? Let's make things really fucked up.
You had a lot too, though. So I think you give and you take.
Yeah. You know, that's what I do. If you want to shake things up and make it really chaotic, invite Hagen.
There you go.
Great. I'll pack a lunch.
All right, good stream. Good stream. Let's end it here.
All right, good stream, everyone. Much love and appreciation. Glad to be here with you all and entertaining
This one.
or not.
There we go.